First name is Richard, last name is Knoebel. That's spelled K-N-O-E-B as in Baker, E-L.
But you go by the name Dick?
Yes.
Okay. And your name?
Jerry Knoebel?
Okay. Same last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is your relationship?
I'm his daughter. He has,
Oh, yeah.
and I have five. I have 5 sisters.
Wow. Any of the other siblings here?
Yes, but she's flying down from San Francisco for the banquet tonight, so, yeah, so.
At times, I'll have to ask you to repeat because I have a problem with my hearing.
I will do my best to talk loud and clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Please let me know. Mr. Knoebel, so where were you born?
Pennsylvania, Sunbury, Pennsylvania.
Sunburg?
Sunbury.
B-U-R-Y.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sunbury. And what is your date of birth?
January 7th, 1926.
I think you are the oldest veteran that I've interviewed so far. 1926. But you don't look like the oldest. You look really young.
Yep.
Well, good wind and good food.
Well, maybe I'll ask you too. Where were you born?
In Bethesda, Maryland. He was stationed there for quite a lot of the time he was in the Navy. And when was I born? Is that what you said?
Sure.
September 22nd, 1948.
Okay. So you said you were in the Navy for 20 years.
Yes.
Did you move around a lot?
I've seen part of the world. I actually joined the Navy in March 1943. I spent 2 years in the South Pacific during the Second World War. And, well, I turned 20 after I returned after the war. And then I was going to get out, but I couldn't get a job. Everybody was getting out at that time and couldn't go to school. No vacancies. Well, except that mortuary school. And your mother said that I was not going there and then come home to her. Then I got assigned to the 2nd Marine Division at Camp Lejeune in April of 1949. And the Korean War started in June of 50. So they transferred everybody, well, most everybody, from Camp Lejeune to Camp Pendleton. So then when I got there, I got reassigned to another outfit. As a corpsman, we get shifted around a bit. We're needed. And we went to Kobe, Japan. The day after I got there, I got orders to go to Busan and join a brigade as a replacement. And so then made Ichon, and that was it.
Do you remember then when exactly you arrived in Korea?
September the 3rd, 1950.
Yeah. So to Busan.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you call your company? I don't know if this is the right term. As in,
Well, I had been assigned to different outfits, but at Busan, I joined a brigade as a replacement, and then I got assigned to Shore Party. Shore Party works the beaches on an invasion, and so I went into Icheon with Shore Party.
and what would be your rank?
HM2, Hospital Corpsman, second class. That would be the same as a staff sergeant.
Do you remember the first day that you arrived in Korea? What do you remember seeing? What do you remember hearing? Maybe even like smell?
What I remember is we were at a pier and they had 4 attack transports, and they had a battalion assigned to each transport. They furnished meals, and was able to take a shower on that. And then at night we just slept on the pier. The whole pier was the brigade. And it was right at the downtown, was right at the end of the pier. I remember the Salvation Army had a building right there at the end of the pier and at Busan. There wasn't, don't remember too much of Busan. We didn't have time to really think much about things. They were busy and getting ready for Icheon.
What were some of your more, maybe more memorable times, episodes in Korea? Maybe even just more difficult memories?
Well, I forget whether it was 24 or 48 hours after we landed at Icheon. We got assigned to, we made up a composite group of medical personnel, and we took care of the civilians in Icheon because they didn't have medical facilities. And what I remember is that we had 45 Army guys, 19 corpsmen, 14 doctors. The supplies we had was what was given from other outfits. We didn't have, we operated at night with a Coleman lantern. I remember a kid has been brought, a young child, has been brought in and got caught in a machine gun fire. Operated a major surgery at night with just a Coleman lantern. And it was well, I guess you could say primitive, I mean, of, we, uh, it was an old schoolhouse, not an old schoolhouse, it was a schoolhouse, so the schoolhouses were used for a lot of things, but, and we had, they set up in the rooms, facilities for the patients, but they had to have their relatives do any nursing care, because I didn't have any men. Well, in fact, I was senior, and I was in charge of the enlisted group, and the Army guys resented a bit the Navy guy in charge of them, but the doctors liked the way the corpsman worked, and there was no problems after the first day. But I remember we had 2 cases of gas gangrene, and I think if I smelled it now, I'd recognize it in a second. The 21-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy. So, and then we got pulled out and when we crossed the Han, there was when we crossed the Han there, they went across an Amtrak's. So, a little bit different now, so.
Did you get to revisit Korea?
Oh yeah, in '87 we went back.
Wow.
And
It was a chosen few group.
oh yeah, it was a revisit with the Korean program.
Really? Because many of the veterans, they said they went back within the last 10 years or so, but 87, that was closer to like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like when you first saw Korea again?
Yeah. I remember we landed at Gimpo. Well, I understand it's altogether different there now. But we landed at Gimpo and I remember taxiing out, in towards the terminal. And a thought entered my mind. I told your mother about it. They had, the sentries, the security, and my thought was, they put the airport in, next to a prison, and they're, the guard towers is for the prisoners. But it was just the safety for, the safety. But I thought it was we were next to a prison.
Did you go back again after 87 visit? Because 87, it's more different now, even from 87. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I put in to go back. This year, this year, but I canceled because I didn't think I'd physically be able to.
Okay.
Another thing I had thought about, I had not remembered the road from Itron to Seoul, and talked to a couple of people, and they said, well, it was a 2-lane macadam road, but I didn't remember that. It, well, it was just,
Yeah. Jerry, do you remember anything while your dad was gone to Korea?
No, because I was only a couple of years old at the time. But one of the amazing things about the reunion, and this is the first one I've been to, is that of all the children of the veterans who are here, and they're all about my age, you know, and so that's been a moving experience too.
Wow. You said you have 5 sisters?
Hmm.
Wow. Which one are you?
The oldest.
Oh, wow. I see.
Yeah, there's 13 years between us.
Wow. And the one that's coming down soon is?
She's the third youngest. No, right, okay. She's in the middle, and then it's
Yeah.
an even number, so.
I see.
So she flew out with him from Maryland, and then I drove out, and she's in Portland visiting a friend who's sick, and so she's coming back to be at the banquet and to fly back with Daddy.
Yeah.
And I'll
In just
drive
a
back.
few hours.
Yeah.
Oh. Would you also, many veterans when they interview, they would say the Chosin experience was one of the most difficult, especially because of the weather. Was that like that for you too?
well, I guess it's human nature. Some of the stuff I don't remember. I just, I just don't remember remember some things, but a lot of it I just, I don't know, just, I don't know. I forget, I mean,
Well, it was a horrible time, and it's not surprising that you don't remember. There's a lot to remember, a lot that happened.
I also heard often how the Marine veterans, they had such camaraderie with the Navy corpsmen, maybe on behalf of the other Navy members. How are you guys so good up there? How are you able to do your job so well? I mean, according to the Marines, you guys did.
we had a job and we did it. We
Well,
went where we needed it.
well, even here, when Daddy says what he did, they express gratitude for the work of the corpsmen that were there. And so it's high in their memory, the importance of what folks like Daddy did then.
Anyone here at the reunion, do you actually remember them from Korea?
The revisit or the service?
During the war?
No, I haven't met anybody. We had high rate of casualties in the corpsmen,
Yeah.
and I don't remember any of the guys. which, not surprising, I guess, you, you treat one and then, another, you, well,
Have you been attending many of these reunions?
we attended quite a few, my wife and I. She has passed away. And, yeah, I attended quite a few since '87.
And a lot of the trips. And you've gone on a lot of the trips.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like from like the 80s, you were always, you were often meeting with the veterans, the brothers that you were with over there. But did you also have several years where you couldn't talk about the Korean War after you got back from serving?
Well, I just don't. After I came back from Korea, I guess one way to put it was that we had a job, we did it, and what's next? Didn't dwell on the Korean service. Didn't until '85 a book came out about the Chosen, and it got a lot of guys interested in, well, I'd like to see Joe or somebody. In fact, one of my daughters, heard about Chosen. She just heard something. And she said she didn't know anything at all about it. So, oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, all right. So I started making some phone calls, and I called the headquarters of Marine Corps. And they had name and address of the co-founders. I contacted them. That was in 84, 85. And then that's when my wife and I went to Korea on a revisit.
Well, didn't you find out one of the co-leaders lived 5 miles away?
Oh, yeah.
From where they live?
He was a corpsman, and he lived 5 miles away. He had gotten interested as a co-founder. The book that was written was sent to the Naval Institute for review, and one of the editors was this man's brother. And he said, well, Jack was there. I'd like him to read it and see what he thinks of it. And that's what started. And then we got together and we did things together and stuff like that.
When did you rotate home from Korea?
May of '51, the group I came back with, it was 1,400 Marines, 75 corpsmen, was survivors of the, or survivors is not the word, but what was left was a division of the members of the brigade and the people who had made Ichon invasion, and we came back on the first ship load, and we came into San Diego here. The only ship to come in here, because all the others went into San Francisco afterwards.
Because San Diego didn't have an airport, right? You took a train up to San Francisco to fly home, right?
No, went to Los Angeles.
Oh, Los Angeles.
Went from here to Los Angeles by train to get a plane home from Los Angeles.
Were you wounded in Korea?
But you got a little bit of frostbite. I don't think his hands have been warm since then.
Pardon?
I said, I don't think your hands have been warm since then.
Well, it seems like everybody got cold weather injuries.
Yeah. I think so. Do you remember when he came back? Still too.
No, let's see, I would have been like 3 years, not even 3 years old, and maybe 2.5, and Madeline was,
She was 6 weeks old when I left,
yeah.
so, they, with my mother, my wife, stayed with her mother while I was gone.
Has your wife said anything? Do you remember your mother talking about how it was back home while he was gone to Korea?
I really don't remember anything. I was too young.
65 years ago.
Right. A few years have gone by.
I see. And yeah, I'm so glad you got to see Korea afterwards, see how it changed.
Oh, and I understand it's changed more. Well, the two of the guys that was on the revisit at that time, I think it was about 135 of us. And Dave, he remembers we were seated in a bus by Alphabet, and this man was right in front of me, Johnson, and then for me, KN, and across the aisle was a guy, Kavanaugh, start KA, all three of us, and we did everything, quite a few different things together.
So you became friends by virtue of the alphabet.
Yeah.
Good.
We,
And they're here today. I mean, they're here at this
Really?
conference too.
yeah. I remember there was one day, the three of us, we got a cab and we went to different places in Seoul that we remembered from when we went through, and
Were you able to find the locations?
pretty much a lot of them had changed. Everything had changed. Because I can remember the main street was, the battle zone. And I forget what it's called, but the main, where the legislature, Sigmund Lee, the governmental, they had one battalion of the 5th Marines set up a medical station in the building and they chased them out. Because MacArthur wanted to make a big, oh, well, yeah, you can cancel that. Well, they had, I don't know what, I remember it as a presidential palace. It was a two-story building, and the North Koreans had turned it into an armory. And they had all kinds of the parts for Thompson Sutters. And the guys were going in. The Marine Corps at that time had very conservative with, they were short of money and all, but they were going through picking up a barrel and all, and leaving with a complete unit.
Mm.
And then they had swords, they had a room, a bunch of swords, and I picked up 5 or 6 of them. And I took them back to Ichon, and I'd go aboard an LST or like that with one of them, and I'd tell the cook I'd swap him for some food, and I could get 30-some eggs in my pockets with a pound of butter for one sword.
Ah.
Yeah.
How did you cook what did you do with the eggs then?
I took it back to the guys.
Oh,
And we,
you had a feast, huh?
yeah.
Wow. Maybe have you heard any stories from him from Korea and you want to share and have, the video retain it?
Well, one of the things that I've learned a lot just being here and hearing his stories and all, but was it when you landed that you were keeping track of the guys? You were, I forget what you called that position, but he was one of the folks who at the evacuation,
Oh, at
that-
at Hagaroo, at the airstrip, my job was to maintain, one of the guys, we had more than one, we maintain a log of the men being evacuated, because to keep track of who is leaving and keeping track of casualties and maintaining the log, that was one of my jobs. It was the job.
Yeah, well, and I was pretty amazed by that because, the military has the records of that he was here these dates and you left then, and, in the middle of war, that was pretty amazing to me. So that job was very important, and he has very good handwriting.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Even now, it's better than any of us.
Well, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so what you were with him mostly during this reunion, right?
Yeah.
Because actually I was always like in here, I am kind of curious. Do the veterans just always talk about like Korea, or is it just?
Well, a lot of it is, because that's what their connection is and how they come together. But most folks have, their wife or a partner or something, children with them, and so, it becomes more than that. But the brotherhood and the connections that they have is just really amazing and something that I'll never experience,
Right.
What happens in war, I really don't have a real idea of what that's about. And so I think it's pretty astonishing that they've maintained the connections that they have over the years and have garnered the respect of the, other military and the government and, in supporting what it is that they're doing. And like I said earlier, it's just really amazing to see all these children, and we're all senior citizens for the most part. So I think we've become proud over it again.
Yeah. So 20 years in the Navy, did you retire then, or did you do something else after?
No, when I came back, they had asked us, what's your 3 choices of where you'd like to be? Well, my wife was in Philadelphia then, and with the children, so I picked 3 naval air stations right around Philadelphia. So I got sent to Pensacola, which was 1,000 miles away.
In Florida.
Pensacola was in charge of the 3 stations that I had picked. So I go to headquarters. Well, I told my wife, I said, the first time any school comes along, requesting volunteers for a school, I said, any school, the first school I'm volunteering for, because I figured being a technician, there'd be less chance of me going back to combat with the Marines again. So school came along, radioactive isotopes, nuclear medicine. So I volunteered, and I got it. And I came back up to Bethesda, Maryland, and I went to school there. And that was 18 months. And it was quite interesting because that was peacetime uses of atomic energy. And I ended up being an instructor, excuse me, and then, well, that was 52. I retired in 62, but in between, I spent a year on a battleship, and I spent 9 months on an aircraft carrier, and one time I went down to, we spent 2-3 years on what they call shore duty. Then you go to sea duty, and duty with the Marines was sea duty. One time, in 59, my time was up ashore, so I'll go down to Camp Lejeune, and I'll retire from there. I get down there, and 7 months later, I get orders back to Bethesda. So.
What would you like for the younger generations will watch this video to definitely remember, learn from you, learn from your experience? What do you think is important for our generation to keep in mind and not forget?
The first and only thing that comes up, freedom is not free. And that's very familiar to you, the Koreans now. And, well, it's not free. During the chosen campaign, I don't know why I remember, we had 3,100 killed. Now, I understand we started with 19,000, and that's not counting, I think we evacuated 4,000 or 5,000. There's pretty much of a turnover. But freedom is not free. And I have lately been at the Korean embassy has been very very helpful or cordial or
Supportive?
Pardon?
Supportive?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. In fact, I was down there, on June 24th, we had a wreath laying ceremony, and we got invited to the ambassadors for dinner. Oh, that's right, too. Last October, they had that's when they got that invite with the president of South Korea. When she was in, I got an invitation to a dinner. So.
By chance, would you like to add anything to your father's?
No, I'm really glad that I came out and is spending the time with Daddy.
Well, yeah, me too. Thank you for being here and sharing stories. We will definitely put it online for others to watch and learn, and it'll be kept forever.